last night I was able to make a few passes. What I did was I took the cutting edge off and put a piece of decking, composite decking on. And this decking has some grooves in it, and I was able to use the factory bolts for the cutting edge, and they're recessed enough to where they're not making contact to the asphalt, so it worked out pretty good. You can see it is wearing, but that's okay. Cheap insurance not to damage my driveway. However, last night when the plow came by, I cleaned up the end of the driveway because it had left those big piles of snow, so if there was an emergency we could get out. I did the same for my neighbor's driveways, the one on each side of me, and in doing so I think I hit a piece of ice from the previous snowfall, and I ended up breaking the piece of decking. Not a big deal. It'll still work out. It's still protecting the bolts. I don't think I got to worry too much about it. I can finish this storm. Last night we got about 15 inches, or yesterday we got about 15 inches of snow, and I'm gonna finish cleaning it up today. It sure beats snow blowing on a windy day, that's for sure. But I do have to do something besides the bucket, because the bucket's not ideal for snow removal, but in due time. So the backhoe came off just as it was supposed to. It only took a couple of minutes and everything worked flawless. Especially for me being a rookie, I found it very simple to do. But I did run into an issue with the hydraulic lines. This hose has to connect back into the tractor after you take it off of the backhoe. But I found that because it's straight and the metal comes back to about here, it's not flexible at all. And so I couldn't get this to push into this connector.
only because I couldn't, it wasn't lined up straight. I couldn't adjust this downward because this line is a hard line. What I had to do was take this back panel off, and this bracket right here, I had to unbolt it. There's 4 bolts that hold it on, one here, one on the other side, one down in each corner. And I took this bracket off, and I was able to get this to snap into the connector without issue from there. And then I just put the bracket back on, which it's kind of squeezing the rubber, but it's not bad. It's doable. And this is a part of the cab, not a part of the tractor. And so what really ought to happen is when they manufacture this, maybe a notch should be put into this, or a bend or something. Either that, a 90 should be. I don't know if Curtis would add the 90 to this hose as part of the cab assembly, but they ought to. That will make things easier. So here's a little bit of a close-up. You can see this piece of steel right here is part of the tractor, and this piece of steel is part of the cab. And you can see that on this piece of steel, there's already a notch kind of cut out of it, and that's to allow for this connection to be made. But with this piece of steel on here, this is part of the cab. There's no notch or no indent or no angle or anything cut on it, and it just makes this hose awful tight. And it connects in here, but you can't, when you go to insert it, it's on a horrible angle. It won't line up, and the only way I was able to get it to connect was to take this piece completely off. Now I took this back panel off, which is easy. That snaps off. It's made to be removed. But this piece is bolted on there, and it was a bit of a hassle to remove it. Now I did contact the dealer, and I talked to my sales rep, and something's in the works. I think they're going to just do some research and make sure that installing an elbow here isn't going to affect the hydraulics in any way, which I can't see that it would. But they're going to do their homework and get back to me. It's a simple fix. It really is, and I think the elbow's probably a $10 part.